The air quakes with the pounding of feet against the hardened earth. Tall grass bends and shivers as a group of Australopithecus surges forward, their lean bodies glistening with sweat and dirt, their wide eyes fixed on a prize in the distance, a herd of grazing antelope at the edge of the savanna. The herd is restless, sensing the presence of predators, not just in the tall grass, but in the air itself. Storm clouds churn overhead, a curtain of gray ready to split open, but hunger drives the band faster than the storm can catch them. In this world, every heartbeat is a wager, and every chase is a gamble against death. One misstep, and the savanna swallows them whole. The leader of the band raises a chipped stone in his fist, signaling the hunt. They fan out instinctively, a living net, their bare feet thudding against the soil. Each one knows the role passed down, not by words, but by imitation and memory drive the herd into panic, split the weak from the strong, corner them where escape is cut off. The plan is etched into their blood, an echo of survival older than fire. The wind shifts, carrying their scent. The antelope erupt into motion, and suddenly, the grassland is alive with chaos, hooves hammering dust, clouding bodies colliding. The Australopithecus sprint, their chests heaving, their sharp stones raised, but the storm breaks at the same moment, lightning ripping the sky apart, like the roar of gods. Rain slashes down in sheets, soaking fur and flesh, turning the ground slick beneath pounding feet. One hunter slips crashing hard into the mud, his weapon skittering out of reach. The antelope herd veers wildly, and for a moment, the hunt collapses into disarray. But then, another figure rises from the muck, grabbing a branch sharpened by accident of storm and splinter, hurling it with a desperate grunt. The branch strikes an antelope's flank, not enough to kill, but enough to stagger it. The band converges, their movements sharpened by instinct, stone edges glinting with rainwater, until the prey collapses beneath their weight. Victory is drenched in blood and rain. They howl not words, but a raw exhalation of triumph, a sound that cuts across the thunder. But triumph on the savanna never lasts long. From the shadows of the storm comes a deeper roar, low and guttural, vibrating the ground beneath them. A lion, its golden mane drenched and darkened eyes glowing with hunger, emerges through the curtain of rain. The band freezes muscles, tensed hands slick on stone tools. The carcass between them is both salvation and doom. To abandon it is to starve. To fight is to risk annihilation. The lion lowers itself, tail-whipping jaws parting, to reveal fangs honed for tearing life apart. For a heartbeat time holds its breath, and the Australopithecus stand at the threshold of their first battle, not just against beast or storm, but for the right to claim a piece of the earth as their own. The storm rages, the lion advances, and in that clash of thunder, hunger and defiance, the savanna becomes a battlefield where survival is the only law. The lion lunges, a golden blur exploding through the sheets of rain, and the band scatters in a burst of instinctual terror. Stones clatter from their hands, feet slam against mud, but not all retreat. The leader plants himself firmly, gripping his chipped stone tighter, baring his teeth in a silent snarl that mirrors the predator's fury. Another male joins him, grabbing a heavy branch slick with rain, brandishing it like a spear. The storm has blurred the boundary between prey and predator, and in this moment of chaos, defiance sparks. The lion swipes its claws, tearing the air, striking the leader's arm. He stumbles, but does not fall. Blood seeps, but the fire in his eyes only grows hotter. The second male thrusts his branch forward, striking the beast's shoulder. It is not a killing blow, but it slows the predator long enough for others to return, emboldened by the audacity of their kin. A circle forms, not perfect, not planned, but instinctual. They scream in unison, voices, hoarse, bodies trembling, stones and branches raised. The lion growls rain dripping from its fangs, caught between hunger and the uncanny resistance of prey that dares to fight back. For the first time in this primal land, the balance tilts. The storm intensifies, thunder cracking like war drums, and the band surges together. They hurl stones, jab with branches, slam fists into the earth, as if calling the savanna itself to witness their defiance. The lion recoils, shaking its main eyes, narrowing with reluctant calculation. It roars once more, a sound that shudders bone, then withdraws step by step, finally vanishing into the veil of rain. Silence falls heavy, broken only by the hammer of water and the heaving of lungs. The band collapses around the carcass, trembling with exhaustion, blood, and rain. But their prey is still theirs. Victory has been carved not just from the flesh of the antelope, but from the right to stand against the fiercest of beasts. They feast quickly, tearing at meat with sharpened stones, their mouths red and raw. Fire has not yet been tamed, so the taste is wild, the meal primal. Yet every bite carries more than nourishment. It carries the memory of triumph, of unity, of survival, through defiance. As the rain lightens, the carcass dwindles, and the band gathers the remaining bones, cracking them for marrow tools and weapons. But the savanna has no patience for rest. In the distance, another group of Australopithecus emerges from the tall grass, their eyes locked on the meat, their bodies leaner, hungrier, their movements urgent. These are not beasts. These are kin, but kin turned rivals. Hunger knows no alliance here. The first band stiffens, clutching their tools tighter. The storm has passed, but a greater storm brews, one not born of clouds, but of flesh and blood. This will not be a battle against nature. This will be the first battle for territory. The rival band advances with low growls, shoulders hunched, eyes glinting with the same hunger that has gnawed at the victors for days. The savanna holds its breath as two groups of Australopithecus, mirrors of one another, face off over the dwindling remains of the carcass. No storm shields them now, only the raw silence of an ancient land, watching the birth of conflict. The leader of the first band, his arm still bleeding from the lion's strike, steps forward. He lifts a jagged stone high, his body shaking with fatigue yet radiating defiance. Behind him, his kin fall into formation not with words but with a shared instinct that pulses through their bones. The rival band snarls, beating the earth, with fists brandishing crude branches, the rhythm of war echoing across the plain. Then the clash erupts. Stones fly, branches slam, bodies collide with bone-cracking force. Dust and cries rise into the air, mingling with the echoes of thunder still fading beyond the horizon. The battle is chaotic, clumsy, but every strike carries the weight of desperation. One hunter from the first band is knocked down, his stone torn from his grip, but before the rival can strike again, another leaps onto his back, dragging him down into the mud. Survival here is not measured by strength alone, but by the unbroken chain of unity. Slowly, with every scream, every strike, the first band drives the rivals back. Blood spatters the grass, not mortal wounds, but enough to sap will and weaken resolve. The rival band, realizing their claim, is futile retreat into the tall grass, fading into the distance with howls of frustration. The victors stand panting, their bodies bruised, their faces streaked with mud and blood, but their unity unbroken. This moment is more than survival. It is the first claiming of land, the first assertion that territory is not just where one walks, it is where one fights, bleeds, and endures together. As the sun pierces through thinning clouds, golden light spills across the battered savanna. The first band gathers close, sharing what little meat remains, pressing close for warmth and healing. One gently applies crushed leaves to the leader's wounded arm, the first whisper of medicine born from observation. Another fashions sharper edges from the fractured bones tools that will carry memory into the days ahead. Around them, laughter erupts, not joyous in the modern sense, but sharp bursts of sound, primal exhalations of triumph and release. For in their struggle, they have not only eaten, but lived through storm, lion, and kin. They have learned that survival is not given. It is taken carved into the earth with blood and defiance. The band gathers the bones, the tools, the stories etched into scars, and begins to move their silhouettes, fading into the tall grass bound for new ground. The savanna swallows their footsteps, but their struggle echoes across time. Witness this moment, for here lies the dawn of conflict, the first battle for territory, and the spark of what would one day shape all of human destiny.